Hey guys, it's your girl Lauren Lahas. I know I look a little different. I straighten my hair from time to time, but don't get used to it because it's something I do maybe like 2 times a year. But I'm here to talk about white people. Like I said, the next few videos that I'm going to put out into the world are to white people. And I hope that this message gets into the right ears, and I can already tell that it's not, because I've already been accosted by, as I like to call them, the usual suspects, being deemed a whore, my hair getting made fun of, my skin color. I got this lovely email actually yesterday from a Johnny Tango. You racist Mexican woman, you need to shut the fuck up already with that racist shit. You talk about men too much, especially white men. If you don't like men in general, go somewhere else, bitch. Like, I'm upsetting the white people, and I'm here for it. Come at me because I am speaking the truth, and that's not my fault that it's bothering y'all. I've said this before and I'm gonna say it a million times over. White rage and white hatred needs to be studied, and it needs to be treated like a mental illness because there's nothing that compares to white rage. It took the January 6th insurrection for white people to start being like, damn, our rage and hatred is different. But that's something that brown people have known for centuries because we've constantly been the receptors of that white rage and white hatred. But in every single oppressed group, right? This whole notion came to me. I was reminded of it because, little story time. I was talking to one of my trans coworkers, and she was just telling me a little bit about her struggles. And I had told her, like mid-conversation, I was like, look, I don't want you fighting your battles. If anyone so much as bats an eyelash towards you that you don't like, come get me. I will fight that battle for you. I told my gay friends the same thing in the same week, and it got me so fired up. It got me so riled up, and I was like, you know what? I got to speak about this. I got to send a call to action. And then something came to me. I mean, at this point, it's no secret that this current administration is trying to erase American history and portray it in a different light than what it actually was, right? And so when people start talking about this, again, this is a topic of conversation that people like to talk about, that, they're doing this because of the white guilt. Like, people who are around now should not have to feel guilty about the things of the past, like slavery, like what was done to the Native Americans, et cetera, et cetera. And okay, for the sake of this argument, let's say, fine, let bygones be bygones and let's forget about the past. But let's talk about the present. Okay? Like I said, every oppressed group, I was fired up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this. Like, I understand that if we want social change, it has to be the oppressors or the group of the oppressors to stand in front of the oppressed, right? I use trans women as my first example. So it's going to take us cis women to stand in solidarity with our trans sisters to be like, no, you're not going to treat them differently. Women are women, etc. etc. Men to stand in front of women to protect us from other men and be like, no, equal rights are a thing. Feminism is just them wanting a seat at the table, equality. It's going to take white people, and this is why I have chosen to constantly, at this point in time, call out white people. It's going to take white people to stand in front of and protect their brown brothers and sisters, and stand in front of, not only stand in front of us, but stand against their own white people. And then when I'm going around all these oppressed groups, I'm like, damn, the oppressors, they all tend to be the same people. At the core, at the epicenter of every single group of the oppressors that are oppressing somebody, it's always white people. And so let's say we forget about our history, right? Let's say we're going to have a clean slate. What needs to be talked about more, and of course no one wants to talk about it because it's too uncomfortable and we don't want to make the white people, feel guilty for things that they didn't do, but they're doing it at present because they are at the foundation. They are at the center of all this hatred that is inflicted upon every oppressed group, which every oppressed group in America right now is everyone that's not a white male. I mean, white women haven't accepted that fact, but it is what it is, that they are still an oppressed group and their oppressors are white men. But I digress. Here's the thing. I'm sick and tired of talking about this man, but I'm gonna bring him up one more time, and hopefully one more time only. His passing, and we already know who I'm talking about, has amplified a pattern of behavior that's already been there. People are starting to try to blame Barack Obama, that he started the division in this country, this racial division. And as brown people, we were like, okay, yeah, he started this by existing. There was nothing that he did directly to start this. He just bothered so many white people that they want to focus on him. Of course, it's always the brown person's fault. So they're trying to blame him, but this has been here since the birth of this country, essentially. You know what I mean? So, this is nothing new to brown people, but it's starting to be so ridiculous that other white people are picking up on it. And I said in another video, I'm glad that white people are choosing to call these people out on the internet, but until I see that in person, until they call out their racist family members, their boyfriends and girlfriends, their coworkers, I'm not falling for this performative content that, they're tired of their own people. I don't care. Until I see it in person, that I see that you're implementing, that change that you have seen and protecting your minority groups, then I don't care. You do you. But here's the thing. Like my Queen Joy Reid said, they're still so angry when they have everything. They have the government, they have the White House, they have a dictator who's doing everything that they wanted. Rights are getting stripped away, right? Like she said, that they have the permission to racially profile Latinos right now based on the, what they look like, the language that they speak, Black women, the most educated group in America, are losing their jobs for, how does that make sense, right? If DEI was an actual thing, like they said that, it's just giving a bunch of people jobs who weren't, qualified for them, yet the most qualified people are the ones losing the jobs, make that make sense. They're getting everything that they want. And I even want to take it a step further, that they've even gotten almost half of the Latino population in America to hilariously vote against their own interests, to hilariously and sadly vote against their own people. And that's crazy. That's still something that boggles my mind, but they still have brainwashed almost half of the Latino community in this country to go along with their white supremacist agenda. And they're still so angry. Hell, white people in this country have even hijacked Christianity. The white Christian nationalists have literally corrupted what it means to be a Christian and have gotten so many Christians to fall in line and go directly against the teachings of God and what the Bible says. When the Bible says to love thy neighbor, to accept a foreigner as family and to treat them as family, to help the poor, and so many people are going directly against that. And yet these same people are still so freaking angry. Like at the beginning of my video, I was saying that I didn't even bring up white people when I was talking about, the differences in our personal beliefs, that you want me to agree to disagree, but I'm not gonna disagree or agree to disagree with you when your rights are directly impacting my life. And so many white people came at me, started sending me hateful emails, commenting on my videos. And here's my thing about that though. It's like, fine, you disagree with me, but these white people are so hateful that they attack me as a brown woman. They attack what my hair looks like. They attack where I come from. I was like, why is it? And I know I'm not the only person of color, because I can bring up Jasmine Crockett right now, who freaking, the grumliest gremlin in the White House currently is choosing to directly attack her over and over, and going so far to a point where it's ridiculous, calling her, a ghetto black bitch, that she's ghetto and that she's this and that and whatever. And I'm telling you, Jasmine's better than me. And I applaud her tact and her grace to not just go postal on this, like I said, gremlin. And it's always like that for us. It's always like that for us. And something that's really bothering me right now is we're supposed to sit here and take it and say that it's, oh, you know, differences of opinion. It's agree to disagree. And it's like, no, when white people take it so far beyond what it needs to be, when they disagree, and it's not even just like, let's say, you know, it was another white person that agreed to disagree. They don't attack them in the same way that they attack Black and brown people for saying the same things. And they automatically go to the worst of the worst. They call us the worst of the worst. And I'm just like, where does that hatred come from? Seriously, why are so many white people in this country so damn angry and so damn hateful that they resort to that type of name calling when you don't even know us? You know, like it's I'm telling you, it boggles my mind. I'm going to give some people advice. If you are a podcaster, or you're a content creator, or you have bigger, loftier ambitions and you want to be a political analyst, or I like to call myself a life analyst because I know I'm really focusing on politics and different things right now, but I want to talk about so many different things. So I refer to myself as a life analyst. But when you're talking about issues pertaining to Black people specifically, and you call them the Blacks, you're done. I've stopped listening because you've automatically dehumanized who you're trying to talk about, right? It's Black people. It's not the Black cis and the Black that. Same thing goes towards undocumented individuals. When you're talking about, you know, undocumented immigrants and you refer to them as illegals, you're done. I've stopped listening because you've already set the tone that what else is going to come out of your mouth is going to be something hateful, prejudiced, and racist, and I'm not going to listen to you. So start having a little bit more class when you talk about marginalized groups or minority groups, okay? Start referring to them as people, because that's what they are, and you're no better than them. You're not higher than anyone. So have a little bit more class and grace when you're talking about these type of issues. Because if I hear the Blacks one more time, or illegals gets me. Because I'm sorry, like it's being said all over the internet, no one is illegal on stolen land. So there's that. Also, I'm of the belief that you cannot have these type of conversations if you're trying to talk about, you know, issues pertaining to these marginalized groups or these minority groups, and you directly cut out people belonging to these minority groups, and it's like you've already lost the plot. These people need to be included into these conversations. And it's not even just about coming from a place of debating, you know, calling that man a brilliant debater is a joke. But anyway, besides the point, like, why is it always about debating, right? Why is it always about trying to one up your opponent, right? And in a debate, no, if you're trying to have these constructive conversations, right? You're trying to have this constructive dialogue. You need to have more respect for the group that you're talking about, right? Like I'm using the Black community, for instance, or I'm using the hot topic right now, which is, you know, immigration and undocumented immigrants in America currently. It's like, have some respect for the group that you're talking about. And for white people directly, you really need to tone down your hatred. I really hate that social media allows trolling accounts, nameless, faceless groups, you know, that can just troll people on the internet and say the most racist, ridiculous things. They say the most hateful things. They say things that they would never, ever say out loud, you know, face to face, because that'll get you in jail. That'll get you a freaking cocotazo in your face, right? No, of course. Like, you have to be a coward. And I always call out these cowards, and I always will. I'll be like, it's funny that you're saying this behind a screen with a nameless, faceless account. You know, you would never say that to my face. You would never say that to me if I was in front of you. You know, I really hate that social media is like that. But like, white people, you need to stop saying so much hateful shit, because that's what it is, when brown people choose to talk about these issues that are directly impacting them, that we can talk about because we are living through them. And that's another thing. It's like, it's mind-blowing to me that when people bring up racism or you know, misogynistic, you know, scenarios, or they talk about any injustices, white people come in defense of those things like you just called their mama fat or something. You know what I mean? Like you came after they mama. And I'm like, why are y'all being so quick to defend injustice and racism and hatred? It's like, do you not see what you're doing here? I just, you know, this world. So I'm leaving with this. We need to continue to talk about white rage and white hatred, and we need to continue to call out these people who do that. Like, you come at me in an email, you come at me in a comment, I will post it online and I will call you out. I've already blocked a few of the people who have tried to send me emails because I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with that hatred, but I'll put it online. And I don't blur out names. So people do with that information what they will. But it's gotten to a point where it's becoming everyday life. And blame Obama for this if you want to, because again, you know, he is blameless in this, in the sense that he, you know, just brought a bunch of racism to the light because he was just existing. But it seems like racists are getting very comfortable these days saying anything and everything they want to. And I feel like the reason why they're still so bothered is because we're unbothered, right? Like, we are not taking the rage bait. I will troll a bitch online, especially the women that come after me. And it's always, like I said, the usual suspects. Like, you know, the good Lord's still working on me. So if you're going to troll me, I'm going to troll you right back double. But, you know, we aren't, you know, going to the streets, and we're not having the reactions that they want. You know, I feel like, you know, like I said, my Queen Joy Reid, like when she was talking about this, she was saying that, like, you know, we're not giving them gold stars. We're not, you know, being like, wow, thanks for saving this country. We're not just accepting, you know, their word as bond and being like, oh, I guess we just have to fall in line and do what they say. We're not doing that. We're just completely like, okay, fine, we're going to do our own thing over here, you know, and continue to talk about you and call you out because, you know, what people are doing in this country is not correct. So I'm still going to do it. You're not going to scare me from talking about the things that I want to talk about. And again, I'm choosing to focus on racism because, like I said, it's becoming almost daily. It's becoming something that us as brown people feel in the air, and we feel it in just the glares that we get, you know, especially because, again, I live in Denver right now, and I see the grimaces, I see the up and down looks, and you just don't even know me yet. You're choosing to look at me that way, you know what I mean? Which is crazy to me. Like, it's just like, we feel it. And as brown people, we've always felt it. But I feel like it's becoming more acceptable socially to do that. And I'm just, you know, I'm afraid because it is not fair to us brown people to have to take that. And some of us are going to pop off. Some of us, and, you know, like, I don't know, that's what they want. And it's like, I'm conflicted because I feel like we need to pop off on these people, but that's exactly what they want. They want us to give them a reason to cause us harm, you know?